am Violet, the lazy conductor on this train, joined by the other conductor, Mark.
Hello.
And what did we read this month? What the hell is by Little Gray? I don't know. Oh, you've got a copy. Excellent. How about Nikki Bake? Boom. Oh, you have that version of the cover. Nice.
I do. I really like this cover. I think it's the bright purple just really does it for me.
Yeah, I like that cover as well. There's a few different versions. Okay, I'm going to say something a little bit stupid. I didn't realize that this was part of a series.
Really?
Yeah. I was reading it and I was like, wow, this is really setting up like it could be a series or have a sequel. So then after I finished it, I looked it up. I'm like, yeah, because it is.
Yeah. There's two of them on the back. You can see one is lime green and one is bright blue. And I think the last book is orange.
Oh, okay. I already put in a library hold for the next one.
I wish I could be like you. I literally yesterday filmed a video talking about how bad I am at continuing series.
Oh no, I'm bad at it too. That's why I was like, if I don't put a hold in right now, I'm just gonna forget about the series and not continue.
That's why I made a series tracker this year, so I can shame myself into continuing. I'm in the middle of over 50 series. Yeah, but I'm planning on finishing 4 duologies in February.
I was
So.
just gonna say because these days dual or last 2 years duology are really popular.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, well, I suppose we can just get straight into our discussion. What is your history with the Divining? It was published in 2012. I just double checked it.
Yeah. So I thrifted this copy, I want to say late 2023. So
Okay.
like a little over a year ago. And then I finally picked it up last September. And it ended up being my, I think, third favorite book of the year. And so I'm like, I might as well reread it, even though I kind of just read it. So I've read it twice in the past like 4 months.
Okay, great. That's going to be pretty like fresh in your head. You're going to have a lot of the details.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Makes a great discussion. For me, I feel like it's just one of those books that I've kind of heard the name of, heard people talk about, and especially when I started getting like into BookTube, probably like I don't know, 2018, 2019. It was one that I kept seeing people bring up a lot, but I didn't know what it was about. I didn't. I don't think I realized that it was like a paranormal. I think I just thought that it was like historical.
Yeah, prior to reading this, I would get I kind of like heard the premise and stuff from it like being talked about, but I would always get it confused with the Bone Season for some reason. So I still have to read the Bone Season to see if they're any sort of similar. I don't think they are, but for some reason this and the Bone Season are like the same book in my brain.
Yeah, this is just one I just always kind of heard about it on the peripheral. It's like one of those names of books that like I've always knew about but didn't really know anything about.
Hmm.
And I feel like just like what I've seen on BookTube, it seems like people still like stand by it and vouch for it. It's kind of like the vibe I've gotten when people mention it or bring it up. Like, oh yeah, this is a good book. Seems to be the general reputation I've seen online. So
Hmm.
it's one that I've kind of yeah always wanted to come for the book club. So I'm really glad that you were on board to do it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to try more Libba Bray because I have her book, Beauty Queens, which is a retelling of The Lord of the Flies, but with beauty pageant contestants. And I read that, I think, in high school and loved it. And I always was like, oh, I should try out more of Libba Bray's books. So last year I finally did read this, and I have her other series I've got a couple of books from that I still have yet to read. So I'm impressed with her as a writer. I don't know how her newer stuff holds up, but like her older books I've definitely enjoyed.
Yeah, this was my first Libra break, but again, it's just an author I've heard about it and just knew about, but never picked anything up.
Mm-hmm.
Would you prefer to start with plot and pacing or prose and words?
I guess plot and pacing.
I definitely have thoughts on this category. I know what I was reading about. Oh, like I was already getting opinions. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of obsessed with everything about it because I love the setting and like the supernatural elements. I feel like it all comes together to have all of these different plot threads and like how they all weave together. I'm like, it's so good. I wish I could write a book like that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely impressive. I really enjoyed the plot threads and how everything felt very connected. I will say though, pacing wise, the different like POVs sometimes got on my nerves when I was reading. Because I found myself getting quite attached to like Evie and her point of view and her storyline, and especially the ones that were just like one-off POVs. I know that they had a purpose for the story and it like was cohesive and it made sense, but as a reader, I got frustrated.
That's fair. I enjoyed the omniscient viewpoint that we had. I feel like it was really cool to see everything all at once, but there were
Yeah,
definitely times where we like stepped away from a character for a long time. Like Mabel, I know she's not like a main character, but we don't see her for like the last 30% of the book and like it's very obvious and I'm like what the heck? And like Sam disappears for a while.
yeah, I noticed that too. That it was like, okay, we kind of got these characters, but then it was like they had to sort of fight for the page time.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the one thing about the pacing that kind of irked me, where it's like, I love an ensemble cast and getting to see the city from this kind of like overview and like jump in and out of different stories. It was great, but at the same time, it sometimes missed staying with the core uh, story. And I really did enjoy like following Evie and what she was doing as sort of the alpha protagonist.
Mhm. Now, how do you feel about the mystery plot line, the murder serial killer investigation?
I think it fits really well as having just like a common through line, kind of tying everything together, keeping everybody on their toes, giving some suspense. I definitely think it worked. So the story definitely had a lot of things going on. It touched on so many different aspects, and because we had so many characters, we had their all like side plots uh, as well. But in general, I like the mystery. I don't know if it was like the most like groundbreaking or like
No, that's fair. It was a little bit like not cliche. I feel like that's not quite the right word, but almost. I mean, I am always a sucker for like a religious villain and like religious zealotry.
yeah.
It gets me every time. So when I read this the first time and I realized that's the angle we were taking, I was like, "Oh, I am here for this."
I am so glad that on the Discord, before I started, you guys had already had the discussion about like the audiobook and that page with the spelling out. Because I was on the tram when I was listening to that part of the audiobook and it's right at the beginning. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what is going on? At first I was like keeping up with the first couple and then it just gets super long, like just random letters. Da, 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 da. I'd be like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
And
I
it kept
tried to get an
rewinding,
audiobook.
rewinding. I was like, wait a minute, they posted this in the Discord, I gotta go check.
Yeah, when then everyone was talking about the audiobook, I was like, "Oh, I kind of want to listen to it," but there was like an 11 week hold on my library. I'm like, I can't wait that long. I have to read this month.
Well, speaking of that, that's a good point because today when I was looking stuff up about the book, it had said that it had actually been like nominated for like best audiobook at some award show. It had been nominated for several actually writing awards, which I can understand why. Hold on, let's see. It feels a little slow in pacing, probably just because we do jump around a lot. Yeah, that's kind of what I got as well. But part of that was I don't know like how you guys read, but like I kind of like kept having to like read a little bit, stop, just because I was like busy and doing things. Um, and I don't know if that also made it feel like, oh wait, where am I right now? What character is there? Like that I kind of
Yeah.
had to readjust every time coming in, and that could have just been because I wasn't sitting down and reading them in long stretches.
It did feel kind of slow, but at the same time, it's not like it slogged. Like, this is. How long is this book? My copy is 468 pages, but it didn't feel that long. Like it was slow at times, but overall I feel like it wasn't the worst pacing that I've read.
I agree, because even when we had like those different characters brought up that we followed, it was still interesting, the storyline. Um, it still was, yeah, like cohesive in the overall plot. You kind of see the threads that was everything, like, okay, we know that this is somehow tying into either A, a diviner, or B, the murder. So it wasn't like random, like some books have like random ones, which I also like sometimes, so I'm not like that. The religious aspects were a little heavy-handed for me as a non-religious person, but I like the mystery part.
That's fair. I do acknowledge the fact that a lot of my interest in religious storylines, especially religious villains, comes from the fact that I grew up in the church and then stepped away as an adult. So it's definitely a personal thing to me, but I can see how it is very like in your face.
Yeah, I think maybe I agree with you, Martha. I just kind of like that. Like, some tropes you just vibe with, and I like it. So it was heavy-handed, but it didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
The spelling of the words was getting so confusing. Yeah, it's not like they were spelling simple things either. And I don't know why in the audiobook, especially since it said it got nominated for like the audiobook award, why they didn't just then say it, like they're spelling something out and then say yes, just translate it for the audiobook, because a lot of audiobooks aren't like exact. The book,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they will add things to make it more easier. That's not the correct sentence.
Understandable. More
More
understandable.
Yeah, you're just translating it to the audio experience and not
Mhm.
just verbatim the text. Yeah, it was a bit long.
Listen, I just finished listening to the audiobook for A Day of Fallen Night, so I feel like anything under 20 hours is so short to me.
Oh gosh, you're gonna get me sidetracked with now. I want to on that book. I haven't read it.
Yeah. Is the audiobook one narrator or multiple narrators?
I don't remember. Like, I think it was multiple.
Lynn Collin.
Yeah, Lynn Cullen. I returned my copy because there was other people waiting for it, and when I see other people waiting for it, I return.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished really early this month reading the book. I was so proud of myself.
I was so scared that I started it too late to finish because I started, I think, on Sunday or maybe Monday. I was like, oh my god, am I gonna finish my reread in time? But I've been very under the weather this week, so I've been taking it easy, and that allowed me more time to read. So I finished it like late on Wednesday, like right before bed.
Do you find you read at a different pace with the reread, or is it the same?
I don't know. I feel like if I've reread a book multiple times, I tend to read them faster, but this was only my second time reading the book, so I feel like it was still like a normal pace that I go with.
Of Lynn Cullen saying it was one narrator for this book. Oh, I remember. It was Oh, I know the name of the narrator. He's like a famous narrator. That's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sorry to look it up. Do we have anything else to say about the plot or the pacing?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I think prose and writing style for me is the natural transition, because some of the books we read we're just like, yeah, the writing style, the prose was fine, but I feel like this one there's things to say.
Yeah, it's not a first person present tense book like so many YA books are.
That's a good point, though. There were points of this book where I was reading it, I was like, is this actually YA? I actually had to go and look it up, because I was like, at times it felt like it could just be classified as an adult book. Am I wrong?
This definitely feels like one of those YA books where if new adult was a more established genre, it would probably be classified as new adult.
Yeah, because the only thing that really made it like YA was Evie's age.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the characters felt more adult, and some of the storylines felt more adult. So
Yeah, because Evie's 17, right? And I
yeah,
assume all of the other characters are like 17, 18, 19.
well, Theta, she felt older. I don't know how old she's supposed to be.
I tried to do the math at one point, but cause like there's Evie 17 and she was 9 when her brother died, so that happened this many years ago. And then when we get Theta's backstory, she's talking about like how many years she was doing things, and I'm like, there's too many numbers here. I just need you to tell me how old people are.
Can lift the ages of those. No, I don't see it. Well, it just looks easy as 17. But yeah, for me, it actually felt like it could have been shot for adults. It didn't feel like the writing and the story itself. You know, like sometimes when you read YA, it has the like YA factor. I don't even know, like that. Je ne sais quoi, I don't know. Like
No, I know what you're talking about.
it just feels YA. Maybe it's some sort of like tropiness, soapiness. I don't know.
I feel like maybe the time period has something to do with that because a lot of times that like very YA voice comes out in YA contemporary.
That could be, yeah. That's actually a good theory.
I don't know. I did really enjoy all of the 1920s lingo going on. I thought that was so much fun.
Yeah, that's definitely something I wanted to ask about because it's a big part of the writing style. You have all these terms and stuff. Um, I wish I would have like written them down like as a little look because it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so colorful and it added a lot. And as I was reading, I kept just thinking like, wow, I could not write something like this. Like, props to Little Gray. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I just got to the part with Theta's background with the EV. Didn't feel YA in that scene exactly. That really didn't feel YA to me. I don't know, just something with the vibe of the story.
Yeah, and like all of the times they talk about the war going on, I feel like that took a very adult tone.
You've read like Divine Rivals, right?
I did, and I'm getting to Ruthless Vows very soon.
Because that's also like a period piece that has like war included, but that feels way. So a different period though, but still, and it's more fantastical. Not that this is the comparison.
Yeah, I kind of got lost a little bit in the time period because I'm not super knowledgeable on history. Like, I know the Roaring Twenties, the Jazz Age, it's like between the two world wars, but other than that, I'm like, I don't know a ton. I will be honest with you, I did not pay attention much in history class because I suck at remembering like dates and stuff. So I was like kind of just along for it, and sometimes they would like mention things happening where I'm like, that was the 1920s.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. I do have a banner for talking about historical and paranormal. Um, I did really like that as well. You do get lost in the time period. Reading. And it's like the 20s are like a character in the book almost. Like, I don't know, like some books, the setting is part of it. And this definitely felt like 1920s New York was like part of the story.
I feel like 1920s New York is so iconic that like it has to become part of the story. Like you think about The Great Gatsby, like that couldn't take place anywhere other than 1920s New York, and this had the same kind of vibe where like the culture of the city plays such a huge part in the story.
Yeah, and especially like when we talked about writing style, how you kind of said like we have this like omniscient floating over seeing different areas and different aspects because it's really like I don't know, immersive
Mm-hmm.
to the time period of the setting. And, yeah, it was enjoyable. I think knowing that this was historical was something that intimidated me about the book, maybe why I didn't pick it up sooner. But I definitely think it pulled off and like executed it really great. Because sometimes I'm worried with like historical stuff that it can maybe, you notice something that's inaccurate and throws you out. but maybe I don't know that much about the 20s, or just her artistic license that she took was done in a nice way that felt enjoyable.
See, I have been on a real big historical fantasy kick. I'm not a fan of like regular historical fiction, but historical fantasy has been my jam for the past year or so. I feel like I've read so many historical fantasy books that take place in like I'd say the 1880s to the 1920s has really been a sweet spot. So getting to read this, I was like, it's just another one added to the pile. I'm just loving the vibes.
Like, what examples of other ones?
Um, the Gold Seer trilogy by Ray Carson takes place during the Gold Rush, so that's a little bit earlier in the time period. Then I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and oh gosh, what is that called? Madison recommended A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsky that takes place during Victorian England. There was what is the name of that series? Parasol Protectorate by Gail Carriger that also takes place in Victorian England. So I'm glad that this was an American setting. I do love reading books set elsewhere, but also like I'm from New Jersey. I know New York very well. Like getting to see a setting that I'm familiar with, even if it's a different time period, was very fun for me.
Yeah, I agree. The setting was it was fun. And I also liked that, we had, she added things like, she said in her author's note, like, oh, I made up this club, but I used the real name of the club. Like, the building is fake, but obviously there's like also iconic buildings that people live in New York.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a vibe.
For sure.
It's cool. I should have done a topic for character. Anything? Oh wait, we're still like talking historical, but we could also talk paranormal. I just put the entire genre together as one category.
That's fair. I like the paranormal thing. I'm not a huge paranormal fan. Like I'm much more interested in high fantasy than paranormal stuff. But I feel like the ghostly stuff was very well done here. It didn't feel like cheesy or over the top. I mean, it did feel over the top, but in a way that matched the setting. Like everything's kind of over the top in this book.
Well, I think that one of my like favorite series is the Mere Visitor series of Winter's Promise, and Evie's power in this is very similar to Ophelia's power that she has with like touch magic. And I don't know, like I was like, oh, when I found out that was like Evie's diviner power, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I'm a sucker.
No, that's very fair.
Yeah, because it's so reminiscent of one of my favorite books. Then it thinks that things of racism and not being accepted. Different types of relationships felt like a big part of the community, and yet was so relevant today. Made it easier to forget the time. Yeah, I think Libba Bray did a really good job of bringing up a lot of social issues in this book. Like, she touched on a lot of different things.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was surprised at the first time because, like, obviously you're writing a historical book, you're going to have to touch on certain topics that people might want to forget happened, but like this book doesn't shy away from that and like kind of weaves it into the plot in a way that feels natural. Like it's not just bringing it up to be like, see, I did my research. It's bringing it up because it's relevant to the story.
Yeah, I agree. It felt really seamless, and because I feel like sometimes when you want to bring, like Lynn said, it felt still so relevant today. When you want to bring things that are like modern issues into a historical setting, sometimes it can feel like I don't know, a position, but she still cemented it in the 20s, and yeah, I don't know. I think she pulled off a lot. She had a lot going on in the story, and yeah, it worked. But then Evie would talk, and we're in the 20s. Yeah, Evie definitely was sort of like the modern girl of the times. It seemed like she was very on trend with her fashion and her lingo.
She seemed a bit like a caricature at times, but in like an endearing way.
Yeah, she did seem like a caricature, but I think the over the topness of her, like, it made sense to how we got to like know her in like a small town. You know, like when you're like a big fish in a small pond. or you were the big, yeah, now you're a small fish in a big pond, and you're still like, I don't know. I liked it.
Mhm.
I think it worked. That she was a consistent character, and for me, that's important.
Do you want to talk about the other characters
Yeah,
since we're here?
we can. I did make fan of this character. Spell right, characters.
Yeah, that's spelled right.
Okay. Sorry, words just don't remember. Yeah, we had an ensemble cast of characters. Um, who were your favorite?
I love Memphis. He's definitely my favorite. I am a sucker for sibling relationships in books, and so getting to see him with his brother was just so good, and like all of the family drama surrounding that was just amazing. And also, I just think he's a sweet little boy. He's a poet. I love a poet.
But I think Memphis also has like cool with power, but he also didn't use his power. Um, we just kind of know of it, and I found that really interesting. Made him an
Mhm.
interesting character. I was definitely a fan of Mabel. I love how she contrasted Evie so well, and you're kind of like questioning why are these guys friends?
Yeah, that's fair. And they even ask themselves in the book, like, why are we friends? But like they do work really well together. They play off
Yeah,
of each other a lot.
yeah. That Mabel's kind of the straight laced one, and Evie's the trendsetter. It was very cute.
Hmm. One thing that I noticed in my reread is that in the first time I read it back in September, I was really into Jericho and I did not like Sam at all. But this reread, I feel like I like Jericho a little bit less and I like Sam a little bit more.
Yeah, Jericho was a character. I don't know. I always was a little side eyed at the whole time. I just thought that was something about Jericho. It was unfortunate. I don't know why. And I didn't like the ending with Jericho.
Yeah, that
In this fair, I don't know if I want to spoil. I know I was spoilers better, but we didn't get to that part.
now Lynn, at any point, feel free to mute us if you don't want to get spoiled for the last
Yeah,
bit.
I was yeah. Oh, I went to like Sam so much with the cat.
Yeah, I didn't really like him the first time I read it. I thought he was just a little bit too smarmy. I don't know what word to use, but I don't know. He was just a little bit much for me. But this time around, I'm like, no, okay, I see the appeal. I like him.
I like Sam. The introduction of the character, you were kind of like, oh, he's coming back around. This isn't just like a one-off.
Hmm.
Just having that like writers like, okay, we're not having this big of a theme with a named character to not see them again. I was
Hmm.
glad that they could get back to the story. Um, I
I also
mean, hmm?
really enjoy Theta and Henry and their dynamic. I think it's so sweet.
Yeah, Theta was a character that I was also a little bit apprehensive at first. I'm like, who are you? What's your role in the story? But yeah, she did enough. So yeah, and
I'm
her and Henry do have a few things you can't deny.
I'm curious to see going forward what kind of roles everyone takes because I feel like with a cast this large, they can't really like I mean we were talking about it in this book there are times where characters kind of just drop out for pages and pages at a time because there's so many characters. So, I'm curious if like I mean obviously Evie's going to continue to be our main character, but like who stays the most relevant throughout the rest of the series? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, that's a good point. That actually reminds me of something because when we were talking about plot and pacing, it reminded me of another pacing thing that kind of got on my nerves. And there was a few different like dream sequences in this story, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be like in a dream right now. There's a lot going on in the story. I don't know what this is adding. But then when I figured out it was a series, I was like, oh, the next book is called like Dreams is in the title, I think. I'm like, okay, this is probably foreshadowing for the rest of the
Mhm.
series. So I'm like, okay, I'll forgive it. But in the moment, it was bothering me, basically.
No, that's very fair.
I just feel like sometimes the stories aren't like about dreams, or if it's then I don't. I don't want to read a bunch about it, but apparently maybe that's where the plot is going to go.
Hmm.
I haven't been spoiled, but I don't know anything else that's happening in the series. I think we can keep it under wraps.
Yeah. We can always get into details in the Discord later if we want to.
That's true. Lynn will come screaming when she finishes. Oh, now I know.
Yeah. What about the other characters, like Uncle Will and
I
the
like
reporter
like
and everybody?
I liked the uncle. He was an interesting guy. I liked him. Um, I I did. Okay, this is maybe another reason why I thought it didn't feel that YA was because once Evie gets to New York, it's like, oh, I tried to get you in school, but you can't be in school. Like, it's full, and I was like, oh, why didn't they just set this like in the school break or like I don't know in the break? I don't know Easter break or something.
I wonder if Solomon's Comet is a real thing that happened on like a real. I should have looked that up. Like, if it's a real comet that happened on a specific night, then I can see them setting it there specifically.
I guess so, but then like I don't know, just the fact that she didn't have to go to school, I think, and the excuse seemed a little bit flimsy to me.
They could have also just made her recently graduate high school.
Yeah, like there was a lot of ways around that plot wise. So
But yeah, I agree. It was definitely a moment where I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Moving on, I guess.
yeah, just because like I write YA and I feel like if you don't want to have to deal with school, you have to set it in the vacation or they just graduated, like you said.
Hmm.
So, but if it really was trying to be accurate to the comic, I don't know. Maybe that was the plan. Yeah, I expected his reaction to be different as well.
How so?
I thought that he was gonna be, because he's, the guy at the creepy crawly museum, so I thought he was gonna be like, oh, I knew it. I was hoping for like, oh, like I thought he was gonna be, um, I don't know, trying to bond with her and all this. Instead, he kind of like, I feel like he like pushed her away. I don't.
That's fair. I mean, I understand him being skeptical at first because I mean, there are a couple of moments in the book where Will seems like he doesn't fully believe in what he's got going on. Like he acknowledges that there are weird things happening, but he's not like super involved in it. Um so like I understand him being skeptical at first, but
There's a few things about him that I think I thought was gonna go different in the book, but I might like hold my tongue on because it could still happen. The series is still
mhm.
so. There's like plot lines that I think could still be a thing later in the series. It's what I know already of the characters.
Lynn, have you read Stalking Jack the Ripper? Because that features a main character who sits in on her uncle's college classes. But it's not fantasy. I thought it was a fantasy series. It's just like historical mystery. But the main character wants to be a forensic scientist or whatever it's called. But she's a woman in Victorian England, and so she can't. So she dresses up as a boy to attend her uncle's college classes.
I think as well. I've heard a lot about. I'm trying to think of other characters.
I mean, we can talk about the bad guy, but I don't know if that would end up spoiling things for Lynn.
That's true.
I like him. I think he's very over the top in a fun way, but
Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there was also like a secondary antagonist that kind of like revealed uh, that I quite enjoyed as well. Like in the same system. Silver Forest, spoke to business card, things like that, and maybe he comes around about later. No, we're not going to talk about it. Let me watch it today. We're watching here. Just stop it. Do I really only have one more banner? I think I need to come up with some more banners.
we need to poll the community. What topics of discussion do you guys want?
Yeah, making my banners I get a little crusty. Maybe we should have like like how sometimes people just have like a random question that they have. Maybe it would have nothing to do with the book.
We need to read books that have like the discussion questions in the back.
Yeah. Oh, some of the books I read for when we did Nostalgia New Year. One of them I read had that. I was like, oh, why none of our actual picks have that?
That might be something I'll look into.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I know some of the books that were on the list were like more like school books. I don't remember what people actually picked though. Oh, look here. Here's one. What diviner power?
Ooh.
They listed all the things that divining could be. So it's like divining powers are like pretty set, right? Aren't they? Or is it?
I don't remember.
Is it more vague?
I feel like they all can kind of like do a little bit of dream walking, but that really does seem to be mostly Henry's thing. Like he seems very in control of it, and everyone else just kind of has weird dreams sometimes.
Yeah.
And then Memphis has healing powers. Theta can burn things. That hers, I feel like, was very unclear about the specifics of it. And then Evie, we discussed, can do like the memories thing.
Oh yeah, Isaiah had that thing where he can like.
Oh, like a little bit of precognition.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, also feels like a lot of responsibility.
If you tell people about it, yeah, you just keep it to yourself. I feel like Memphis's healing powers would be such a huge responsibility.
Yeah, but healing powers feel like fun. I think I could like that.
I like Sam and being able to go unnoticed when necessary.
Yeah, that might be the best.
For introverts like us, yeah.
Yeah, that is probably the best one. So, I don't know if I would want Evie either. It seems like, again, like I don't know, almost a burden in a way. Yeah.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
Yeah, I think now that we brought it up, it's the best. Forgot that was his power, but yeah, totally right. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you already brought up sort of the religious thread that carries through.
Fanaticism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a really rich book when I think about
it. I like that it was religious, but it didn't take directly from the Bible. Like it was this own separate thing that these people created that was biblical, but not like drawing directly from Revelation. Because like I love the book of Revelation. I think it's fascinating, and I've read books that are like horror that draws from the book of Revelation. But I like that they like took a turn on it and did their own thing. I thought that was really fun, where it like drew from it without being direct.
Yeah, I think it was well done. I don't know. It worked for me. That's all I can say.
I'm curious if that continues on in the rest of the books.
Yeah, was this just sort of like the one-off plot for this one, just to introduce story, the characters, and everything, or is there going to be more of a theme? Do you think?
I don't know. I feel like we'll have to read on and see how it all plays out before we can really answer.
I haven't been spoiled on anything that comes in the series. The only thing, like I said, is like, oh, I know the dream is in the title of the next book. Okay. The dream one, probably.
Yeah. The titles definitely, because it's the next one's Lair of Dreams, and then Before the Devil Breaks You, and then King of Crows. So like you can with those titles you can really see the different elements.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, now that you say it, I do remember this. So yeah, I think you can kind of see that some of the stuff is going to be carried over. So I'll have to keep reading. Or do we just know the stuff? There are a few loose threads that I'm going to have my question after book two.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping we get to see more of Blind Bill in book 2. I
yeah,
need to know more of his deal.
I like him a lot. Um, I definitely got that feeling all week because I was like, again, I didn't realize it was a series I was reading. I was like, wow, they're setting up so many things. It's a series. It's so dumb. So dumb. You think I would have known that before going into it? But it definitely seems, and I think, like you said before, there's no way they could like give all the cast members so much stage time. So maybe it's gonna pick and choose throughout the series where the spotlight goes.
Hmm.
Who knows?
I feel like Memphis is definitely going to be a very main player because we have. I feel like his plot has been the least like figured out throughout this book. Like he definitely has the most loose threads at the end.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of potential for what could happen. So definitely interesting. You probably will be able to play it. I'm trying to think of other symbols.
I mean, I want to say something, but it is something that comes in very important in the ending climax, and I don't want to spoil Lynn.
I think we might be thinking of something. Okay. I mean, generally, like motif of the related motif and just general like 1920s things kept coming up over and over again. I don't think there was anything else. I'm sure there was, and I'm just being an idiot. Sometimes I wish I was the type of person who took notes, but I just.
I read too fast to take notes. I feel like I pick up a book and then suddenly I'm 150 pages in and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not taking notes. Like I could never be someone who annotates like all the books that they read because I feel like that would be so slow to go through it.
I don't know. For a while, annotating started interesting to me, but right now, I will say sometimes when I read thrillers, I will stop and write down my predictions and like what percent of the book or what page number I predicted it just to see. So that's the only thing that I do, and I do it with so few thrillers, only ones that are like have their claws in me.
Did you have any predictions about this book as you were reading that came
I
through?
had some small predictions. I think I thought some of the paranormal elements might be like a smoke screen, and like we might get a you know something else coming in, or that it could be multiple different things, and maybe I don't know. I'm trying to like be vague. um, yeah, so no, none of my predictions came true at all. But I think because when a book has paranormal elements in it, you kind of have that feeling that anything's happening.
That's true. Although there is something I don't know if Lynn has gotten to it, so I'll be vague about it, but there's something about Jericho that completely shocked me and I did not expect, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, me neither. I'm kind of. I want to do my top breakdown video for Jan. Uh, I have to read so slow to take notes. Oh yeah, that's a lot of work. but it is satisfying to have the plot breakdown. So.
I want to see someone like Carrie can read do her plot breakdown of this book. How she has all the pictures taped to the wall and she's like, and this person was doing this thing. I feel like it'd be very entertaining to watch someone recount this book.
Yeah, I was actually looking for a summary of the book online because sometimes the books we read have summaries that people do. This one I didn't find one. I just found reviews. But so many of the books we do cover for the book club are pretty all well known. Somebody on YouTube has done some sort of summary or thing about it. Definitely remember which one was the name for one. Maybe do a live show summary, refresh my memory. Want to put down, but then it's not much. Yeah. You should do it.
If I had a big enough wall to do stuff on, I mean, I have a big blank wall, but it's kind of an inconvenient space. I also don't have any way to print off pictures. But it would be really fun. Maybe in the future.
Yeah. It definitely perfect. And fun for readers and writers alike. Like, get an overview. Put the banner down. You can just put a general thought. You should have a general thought banner. Overall, I have to say this has probably been one of my like higher rated book subjects that we've covered. Because I'm thinking even of like the whole book club, just because it feels like something I would have read on my own.
That's fair. I loved it, as we all know. It was my third favorite book of last year. But it makes me a little bit more nervous to continue on with the series. Because if I love a first book, I'm always so scared that the rest is just gonna like tank, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also hesitant going to book two. But for like I need to immediately look up something about it. I might lose all my steam. They have 4K. Yeah. I hate when they only have one though. So.
You're getting a little bit muffled.
Sorry. What book did we read? Oh, Vampire Academy. That was the only had the first one, and I was like,
Oh, we read that in October, and then I read book 2 in December, and I'm hoping to get to book 3 soon because it was just so much fun.
yeah, yeah. I would have continued with Vampire Academy as well. Whatever it had it. But it does fun. It'd be another time.
Yeah.
I actually have never read that.
Well, we have to put that on the book club agenda.
It is. I think.
Oh, did someone pick it?
Yeah, Lynn, where's the master list? I think Divergent one in the poll was one of the ones on the house. You think that I would have like my own thing? Yep, Divergent for March.
Oh, I thought we were gonna be reading.
We
Oh,
are.
I guess Lockwood and Co. is October. I see now.
We're gonna also do Lockwood and Co. So Lynn just decided which month.
Dang, I was so excited. I mean, I'm still excited, but I'm less excited for Divergent.
Oh, I need to then update the spreadsheet. I just wanted to make sure that Anne and Anna were okay with it.
Do we want to talk about what's coming up for the book club? I feel like The Diviners has run its course.
We can. So next month, Anne is the one who said, she said, as long as it's depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the poll, the winner was, oh my gosh. Yeah, it won by 78%.
Wow.
But also, it seemed like some people chose not to vote in that poll.
That was me. I was one of them. I didn't really want to read either option. I've read The Fault in Our Stars before, back when I was in high school, and it was a well-crafted book, but very much not my thing. And I'm like, I don't need to return to that.
I'm excited to read it since I've only seen the film. And I like the film. Like to read some John Green when we did Looking for Alaska, and I liked that. So I'm excited. I cried during the movie, so I don't know if I'll cry during the movie.
I've never seen the movie, but I'm content to be in the chat for The Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, YA contemporary, especially like the clip, is like goodbye.
Although I feel like it's going to be a good break from our usual book club picks, because I feel like we do lean very fantasy heavy.
Yeah, it just seems to be our preference. I tried to put a lot of books, like all the ones I could like find that sort of fit the criteria on the list. But then ever since I made that big master list, I keep thinking of other books or like seeing other books talked about. And I'm like, oh, is that on the list? Did I forget that one? But I'm like, okay, I think for this year we're covered. It's fine. I can go back and adjust it later.
Yeah, I think we've got some good ones on the list for this year.
So, like I said, so February would be Fault in Our Stars. March would be Divergent. And for April was Anna and Ember in the Ashes.
Another book that I read back in September that I'm probably going to reread for this.
Yeah, that one won with 50% of the vote, so it was definitely the majority, even though all of the other books got votes as well. So, but yeah, Lind was the one that tied up with Divergent and Lockwood and Co. And then I posted in the Troublemakers, and then a bunch more people responded, and then it still was tied.
That's so funny.
It was so funny because I kept being like, oh, more people vote. And then I find people who didn't vote and they vote and they would vote like one of the other ones that wasn't against the tiebreaker. And then at the end of the day, they tied up again. I was like, okay, it's just people are just equally interested in both of these. So I understand though, because both of them are big names, both had adaptations. So there was just a lot of good picks, so I can understand how the people putting them on the list couldn't decide, and then other people voting couldn't decide. Because to be honest, I couldn't decide either. Same with Anna, she had also picks on there. I was like, oh, I love Hatchet, and she had that as one of her picks. But I've also never read Ember in the Ashes, so I'm excited for that.
Anything?
We'll see the path. Yeah.
Steve still hasn't picked a month. I saw he claimed a book.
Yeah, maybe he didn't understand how it worked.
I also didn't understand. I didn't see the schedule the first time.
That's fair enough. Because I didn't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to use Google programs, as we know. I asked Anne for help, and she's like, well, you pretty much, it seems functioning. Okay.
I feel like we should stick Stieg in December, because that's when we did The Hobbit, and that was also a Stieg month.
Oh yeah, he wanted pick the pros, right? Is that what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Cullen, if you're spiritual in the room with us. Yeah, so I think it's gonna be a good year. Okay, I hope that I'm bringing ashes and nothing for May. Give them. It's also interesting the month that people cluster to, just because I just let it be a free for all.
Mm-hmm.
June the Outsiders. That sounds
Yeah,
fun. That will definitely have discussion questions, right? So it's like I like to
think
see this.
so. I can actually pull my copy out to see.
I need to put Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I didn't even realize that was on the list. Not on the list, but like made it to the schedule.
Mine's got something in the back.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great year.
Oh, hey, discussion guide.
That's,
Looking forward to that in June.
oh yeah. Lynn is asking me is available. Should we move up Lockwood and Co?
No, Lockwood and Co. fits for October.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. But at first, I thought that Lynn would do it the opposite way around and do Lockwood and Co. Now for March. But then when I saw her fill up the sheet, I was like, that makes actually more sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
like if we're talking about like seasonal vibes.
And then I picked January because everyone else was being cowards.
Yes, that's true. But somebody has to be the first. And I also feel like the minor for January. I don't know. In my mind, it did.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good lineup for this year.
Yeah, it was. I definitely liked doing the style of letting people like get a broad overview and like picking what they want. I don't know if that's gonna how it can always be, but I found it fun to do the style. To just sit back and watch what people were interested in. I don't know, just being fun time. And I mean, like Lynn kind of said, May is open. So we take people from December, December. So it's like technically, if people wanted to have other reads, we would have options. But also, 9 years old. So I'm open to. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up the Diviner. Like I said, I'm planning to continue on with the series.
I will eventually, at some point, hopefully.
Yeah, I will definitely update in the Discord and start the next one. And I'm hoping to hear from Lynn her thoughts when she finishes.
I'll see you in about 6 years when I finally get through it.
Oh, yeah, I wonder. I'm hoping that's just something that doesn't be done. Because I feel like with a lot of the book club picks, I have all the intention to read the second book, but either A, I don't, or B, like I started and immediately do. Yeah. Oh, I guess I have another question. Not that there's like a lot of people here right now, but like movie nights because some people are interested in doing on Discord because so many of the books we covered have adaptations. And I was kind of thinking, maybe that's something.
That'd be fun. And timing it would be very tricky, but
I mean, it would be nearly impossible. Um, but I think because so many of them have it, it would kind of be like you can just slide one every so often and you can make it you can. But also other people, it wouldn't just have to be me hosting it. Anybody could do it technically. So if the different time zones want to do something on their own, yeah. So, yeah, I hope that other people continue on in the series. I think out of, like I said, all the producers of this one, I'm most excited for continuing that. Just because it's such a solid group.
I've continued on with a few book club picks. I'm still reading the Animorphs. I read Animorphs book 11 like 2 weeks ago.
I don't even know if I continued on with book two. I meant to. Or did I? I read book two. I have to go up to this point. That's what I thought I did again. I still didn't continuously start material. Percy Jackson, I still never did. Joan Buck, I didn't want to. Inkheart, I did, but then I ended up DNFing the last book. Raven's I probably read the whole thing. Oh, I read the whole series of Unfortunate Events and all of Mistborn as well. So.
And those are two series that there's a lot of books in the series of Fortune Events, and then Mistborn is pretty dense, so those are good ones to continue on.
Ranger's Apprentice and Grayson, I think I ended up I think it's sequels. That's really kept going on too. Oh, Magic. Look at that all the sequels. Narnia, I never got back to the Narnia part. Oh, Cinder, I read some of the sequels, not all. Two of us? Okay, two of us. Yeah, I've read a few of the ones we've done, but sometimes when I didn't have the accountability of the book club to continue reading, I didn't want to.
We should have like a readathon where you only read sequels to book club picks.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be a great idea.
I mean, we got some open months.
That's true. That's true. It might have to be. It might have to just be like, come on, guys. But maybe we need to start picking book 2 for a book club count.
We did do that with the Hunger Games. We did the 3 Hunger Games books in a row, and I felt like that was so much. But also, it was a good series to do that for.
Yeah, that's true. It works with Hunger Games. But sometimes I feel like, oh, should we have done it for Twilight? And I also like Percy Jackson. I didn't continue with it, but I know people keep saying it too. It's so crazy. And like even series of Unfortunate Events. I actually didn't like the first book, but like I loved the rest of it. So just for me, it was like one of those books was like it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean technically, I guess we could if people. The thing is, like I read a lot, Mars reads a lot. When you read a kid, like I don't know, like if how much everybody reads. Oh, I guess Sam also reads a lot. Maybe the people who consistently show up are like avid readers. I'm gonna say we have like a 2-track system, like this month's pick and a continuation pick. But again, how would we ever agree on something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can figure stuff out in the Discord at some point. We can have a discussion.
But yeah, I think that was everything. Unless you can think of anything else.
No, I think we've covered our bases.
Yeah, so like I said, next month is Anne with 12 More Stars. Yeah. That's gonna be an interesting one. Definitely for sure. I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but also it might not change things up a bit. Yeah, do you have anything to say or promote?
I don't think so. I have an announcement coming mid-February for readathon type stuff, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I have many announcements coming in the next few months, so.
Okay, very good. Okay, so keep us on our toes. Oh, I think I'm gonna stream with Pam this week. Our channel. Her writing stream, even though I've been really like Hermione from the writing team. Yeah, on Sunday. So 2 days I'll be on the stream.
It's going to be another early morning one, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like not great for anybody in the US side, but yeah, okay. I told her I would try to get back in the writing stream. So I got really so I'm trying to get back into it. Yeah, I'll do what we can. Get to the fall that's coming up. Yep, and that's it. I'm going to press the button. Thank you for Lynn and any lurkers that we had today. Bye.